We learned this week, and I don't know how big a surprise this came as to Canadians, but the Bay, the oldest retailer in the country, the Hudson's Bay Company, announcing that it would be seeking bankruptcy protection. And, when I say I'm not that surprised, or perhaps many people are not that surprised, Bay's been having trouble now for a while. We heard stories earlier in this week about vendors not being necessarily paid on time. That's always a bad sign. So we thought we'd try to break it down a little bit to find out, first of all, how we ended up in this situation and possibly what's next. Liza Amlani is a Toronto-based principal and founder of the Retail Strategy Group that advises retailers and brands to improve their operations, and she is on the line. Lisa, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Let me begin by asking, it's kind of a vague, but the question I guess people want to know is, how did we get here? What happened? Is there one answer to that question?
I don't think there's one answer, but I think that the best answer I could say is that there was a lack of investment in the Bay, whether it was operational, whether it was in stores, from, I would say, the last 10 years. And I will say that I was not surprised by this announcement.
So when you say not surprised, by virtue of what you just described, or for other reasons as well?
Oh, by virtue of what I just described. And I would say that from a customer point of view, as well as a retail expert I visit stores almost every single day, and I work with global retailers as a merchant for 20 years. So understanding that in-store experience and what is best in class, I think, is something that I look at as I walk through the Bay as well as other retailers.
So is part of that, as you describe it, the fact that they have not kept up with times? I mean, if you look at some of the major department stores, what you've seen is, I know for lack of a better description, boutiquing of some stores, taking areas, things that you ordinarily wouldn't find at a department store, and those brands moving into those boutiques within the store. Is that part of the Bay's problem, do you think? Is there stuff just too accessible everywhere else?
No, I think that the product mix is absolutely part of this. But I do think that the merchants, the buyers that actually buy the product that goes into the store, they're still buying product. There is, some really great stuff in there. The challenge is that as a consumer, we have so many more choices than we've ever had. From online shopping at Amazon, at marketplaces on Shein and Temu. And we also have specialty retailers as well, right, in Canada. And then we also have other department stores in Canada. We have Holt Renfrew, we have Simons. Simons is expanding, right? It's almost like Simons is taking some of this market share, and they will, as they grow and scale in Canada, especially in Toronto. Now, what I'd like to add here is that the customer experience is what sets many, many retailers apart, no matter what size of store you're shopping in. You could shop in a gigantic store or a small, tiny store. The fact is, if your customer experience is lagging, which means escalators are not working, doors are closed, hours don't match mall hours, these are things that impact the customer experience. And this is the reason, a big reason why I'd say Hudson's Bay has been on the decline for maybe a decade.
Would it be fair then, as I hear you describe some of those things in the customer experience, the idea of having to go find a salesperson in a store, I imagine that contributes to it?
Oh, it absolutely does. And this is what I call Retail 101, right? You have to have product, you have to have marketing, you have to have storytelling around visual merchandising so that it's delightful and enticing when the customer does want to buy something. And then you need to have sales associates on the shop floor. That is an absolute must. I will tell you that I was in the flagship store on Sunday. This is the best of the best store. It's supposed to be, right? I think I maybe found one or two salespeople that didn't work directly for the brand and were part of the Bay staff on the sales floor. And it's a gigantic store. Mm-hmm. So that's shocking, right?
Well, so let me go back to something you just said. This idea, you talk about Simons, which we know well here in Quebec. I guess the question would be, what did they get right that, of course, the Bay got wrong? You mentioned some of those ideas as far as customer experience goes. Is the mix of product a part of this as well?
Oh, it is. And it's almost like, I like to call it the trifecta, right? We have product, we have marketing, and then we have that in-store experience. And all of that has to work together. The thing that Simons does really, really well is they tap into the community and they localize their stores. Now, I know Simon's, it's quite a large store, so they have this great product mix. They capture customer feedback and what we like to call in the industry as insights as they build out those product assortments. But there's also this like localization that happens in the store, whether it is getting local artists within the community, how they use architecture and store design to delight the customer. All of these things contribute to this customer experience, which is the thing that entices the customer to actually open up their wallet and spend that money in the store. Simon's really, truly does check all of those boxes.
So I guess I don't want to run out of time, and I want to get to the big question here, which is this it for the Bay as far as you're concerned? Is there a white knight who will swoop in and pick up the company and close some of the non-performing stores and keep the brand going? And I ask this, of course, because people know other stores like this, Sears, Toys R Us, JCPenney, Nordstrom, all in the same business and all pretty much disappearing. So is this the end for the Bay, do you think?
I think it could very likely be the end of the Bay. Unless, like you called it, a white knight comes in and someone saves the day. Even if someone comes in and purchases the Bay, they would need to have a really good understanding of the department store landscape, how it has changed and evolved, because the customer is evolving, so the store should evolve, right, to match that. And I think that they will still close stores. Ideally, what I'd like to see is somebody does come in, they buy the Bay, they understand Canada, they understand retail, and they keep a handful of stores and invest in those stores and, for lack of a better word, just get rid of underperforming stores, because that's almost weighing them down as they look for profitability. So keep a few stores open. That would be great. Keep their marketplace open. Revamp that also, because I think that could use a bit of work. And I think that's what customers really need. They need a destination. They need a community center centered around retail for them to shop at, but also have experiences in, events in, maybe add hospitality. There's a lot of things that could help the Bay succeed in Canada.
All right. And we leave it at that. I thank you so much for your time. Very much appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.